Let's go directly first to Guatemala City. Rigoberta Menchú, you were in the courtroom when the verdict and sentence were handed down. Can you describe your reaction?
Rigoberta Menchú, ¿usted podría contarnos su reacción cuando escuchó el fallo en la corte, por favor?
Bueno, es un hecho histórico, es algo muy grande, es algo que esperamos por 16 años. El juicio llevó 16 años, la vida jurídica del proceso llevó 16 años y fueron 35 años que ocurrieron los hechos. Pues es emocionante, es de verdad algo muy especial en la vida.
Well, undoubtedly, this is a historic event. This trial and verdict are huge. We waited 16 years for this verdict to be handed down. The trial went on for 16 years, and this verdict has been issued 36 years after the event itself. So we are deeply moved, and this is a very special moment in our history.
Can you talk about your long quest for justice, almost 4 decades in the making?
¿Podría contarnos algo de su búsqueda por la justicia que ha durado tantos decenios?
En primer lugar, yo salí de Guatemala en un exilio forzoso. Desde que salí al exilio, yo prometí a mi padre, prometí a la memoria de Guatemala que lucharía contra la impunidad. Y es lo que he hecho precisamente. Durante año con año, día con día, me dediqué a juntar el expediente, a reservar las evidencias y a armar todo, la verdad de la gente.
Well, first of all, I left Guatemala and fled. I was forced into exile, and I promised myself, and I promised my father, and I promised the memory of Guatemala and the victims of Guatemala that I would not cease fighting against impunity, and that's precisely what I have done. Year in and year out, every day of my life, I have dedicated myself to gathering the evidence and putting together the cases to fight for this truth.
Yo creo que lo más importante es la memoria de las víctimas, es la verdad. Teníamos que acreditar la verdad. Y primero la verdad, porque nos han dicho mentirosos, han denigrado la memoria de las víctimas, han dicho que se han autoinmolado, y ahora queda en el tribunal muy claro la responsabilidad tanto de Pedro García Arredondo, pero también del Estado. Hay una responsabilidad del Estado en esta masacre.
I think that it's very important, and what's really crucial here is the memory of the victims and the search for the truth, and also the commitment to substantiate the truth. So the truth is foremost. Because they accused us of being liars, they tried to denigrate the memory of the victims. They even said that the victims had burned themselves, but the truth has come forward with this verdict from the court that holds not just Garcia Arredondo responsible, but holds the state of Guatemala responsible for this massacre.
Let's go to that issue of the state, because in the same courthouse, General Rios Montt is on trial, though that trial has been delayed. Can you talk about the significance of what he has done?
Muy bien, ¿podría comentar entonces justamente sobre la responsabilidad del Estado? Tenemos entendido que en el mismo edificio de la Corte está aún en proceso pues el juicio contra Ríos Montt. ¿Usted podría comentar sobre el significado de esos dos procesos, por favor?
Sí, yo creo que ahora hay dos sentencias. La sentencia de la masacre de la Embajada de España, que ustedes oyeron ayer, pero también hay una sentencia condenatoria al general Ríos Montt. Ambos casos todavía tienen muchas dificultades, tienen muchos procesos. En el caso de Ríos Montt, la Corte de Constitucionalidad cometió una ilegalidad. La discusión que hay actualmente no es legal. Rompió todos los procesos que tenía que cursar y por eso pues hay una dificultad jurídica. Todo lo que quieren es impedir que haya, que la sentencia quede en firme.
Yes, there are two guilty verdicts that have been issued in this courthouse. First, the guilty verdict for the Spanish Embassy massacre, and secondly, the guilty conviction of Ríos Montt. In both cases, we're seeing that there are significant legal challenges. The Constitutional Court has declared the case against Ríos Montt as has been annulled, but these are illegal arguments. They are breaking with due process, and so both cases face significant legal challenges and hurdles to stick.
Pam Yates, if you could tell us further about what's happening with Ríos Montt right now, the man who was president from 82 to 83, what he was convicted of, why he's back in trial, and as we wrap up, how this implicates, or does it, the current president of Guatemala, Pérez Molina, and the role of the United States?
That's a lot, Amy. And buenos dias, Rigoberta. The case against Ríos Montt, he is being retried on the same charges of genocide and crimes against humanity. But his lawyer's strategy is to delay and deny. Delay so that he will never go to prison. He's 88 years old. They hope he will die before that. But isn't it incredible that the people of Guatemala now have successfully adjudicated these two cases, one for genocide, the first ever of a perpetrator of genocide against indigenous people in the Americas. Never happened before.
That was Ríos Montt.
That was Ríos Montt. And now
the verdict set aside?
The verdict was set aside, but for so many people in Guatemala, the verdict is valid. And you know, the quest for justice is justice. So the fact that people came into the courtroom and spoke for 2 months about what had actually happened in Guatemala in both the Ríos Montt genocide case and the Pedro García Arredondo case, the burning of the Spanish embassy, really contributes to the historical narrative and setting the record straight about what happened in Guatemala so everyone knows what actually happened and no one is afraid to talk about it.
And the U.S. role?
The U.S. role, well, the U.S. was totally complicit in the genocide in Guatemala, and we now have the documentation to prove it. When Ríos Montt was being tried for genocide, the Ministerio Público, the public ministry, like the Attorney General's office, had a very narrow focus on one particular region and one particular group of ethnic Maya, the Maya Ixil. But many other things were happening, and many other areas really need to be explored. The role of Otto Pérez Molina, the current president of Guatemala, the role of the United States. And I'm hoping now that the conviction in the Spanish embassy case will increase the momentum for this justice initiative to continue. More people have been tried, arrested, convicted of crimes that happened during the war in Guatemala in the last 4 years than in the previous 30 years. And I think the international community has to support that initiative.